Guna Carlos says, call me crazy. We have a 0% chance versus Inter, but I think PSG and Barca have a 50% chance due to their style of play. Thoughts? We'll come back to that direct question in a minute, but it's a big week for Arsenal. Big week in the Champions League for them and Aston Villa. Do you boys just gut feeling, because I may not speak to you before their next game, especially you, Henry, but do you guys think there could be a problem here for Arsenal? Or do you think they're through and they're in those semi-finals?
If there's one stadium where this sort of magic can happen, it is the Bernabeu. And if there is one team that can come back from a 3-goal deficit, it is definitely Real Madrid. But Madrid this season, even their game yesterday when Mbappe got sent off, they won 1-0. Something tells me that Madrid will come back and it will go to extra time. Yeah, something tells me Madrid will do it and forge a comeback, and then extra time, who knows?
What is that, something? What is that? What is that? Is that a feeling or?
Yeah, just a feeling. Like Real Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti will lift his eyebrow up, and then the magic will start.
So no rationale, just Henry's feeling.
That's my gut feeling, honestly.
Just a feeling.
That stadium, if it was, even if they're playing, if they're playing Inter, there's something about Real Madrid under the lights, in the Champions League at the Bernabeu. It's the hardest ground to go to.
Do you know when the last time Arsenal got beat by 3 goals? You know that?
It was probably
when?
4 years ago.
It was when City won 4-1 when they were going to the Etihad. And that Arsenal is different than this one. And they had Rob Holding at the back. And Arteta was not as pragmatic as now. And Arteta was not as experienced as now.
I think Arsenal will do it.
I actually think that anyone that is saying, at least you're honest, Henry, at least you said it's my gut feeling, I have no rationale behind it, it's just Real Madrid. My problem with football fans now is that there is zero rationale. Of course, there is always the chance in football, but there is zero rationale for anyone to tell me that Real Madrid will come back from a 3-0 deficit, as bad as we saw them at Arsenal, right? As bad as we saw them at the Emirates, that they're going to come back from 3-0 down without Arsenal scoring a goal. Or even Arsenal conceding 3 goals. I see no signs of that. And I think it will be one of the greatest comebacks in football history, in the Champions League history. It will be equal to the remontada that Barcelona did against PSG. There is nothing to tell me that Real Madrid will come back. In my head, this tie is done. I am doing a watch-along for Inter versus Bayern Munich, because I don't care about watching Arsenal versus Real Madrid, because I think that is done. And if Arsenal bottle that, there is massive questions that need to be asked about that team. I don't care if Partey's injured. I don't care if Gabriel is injured. There is no rationale behind any rival other than hate or just banter to say that Arsenal will get smashed against Real Madrid by 4 goals or even go to extra time. There is nothing to tell. There are no signs that Arsenal will concede 3 goals. There is no signs that Arsenal will concede 3 goals.
Yeah,
no one can explain football.
Just a gut feeling. I've got zero.
It's just a gut feeling.
It's just a gut feeling.
Which is, by the way, that is not, you know, and I know that we cannot hold that in analysis of football. It's just a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Right? And by the way, when City were winning against Real Madrid, the difference is City's still attacking. Pep Guardiola is not a coach that knows how to set up the team defensively. Arteta knows. That is the difference between the two coaches. People that say Real Madrid will win 5-0, based on what? It's your hate talking. It's just your hate. People in the chat are saying me 5. It's just ridiculous.
There's a chance Madrid go through, or are you 100%?
There's always a chance in football. Arsenal can go 1 man down in the first 2 minutes, and Real Madrid. You know what? But these are the things that I can predict. You get my point here. I am here to talk rationale, to talk about my opinion about football based on what I see. I'm not here to tell you that Real Madrid will get 2 players sent off in the first 5 minutes. There will be a fight. Someone points. That's not me talking. Oh, Declan Rice will punch Vinny Jr. in the head and Timber. This is not an analysis of football. This is just something that we cannot expect. Right? But what we expect, 11 men versus 11 men, after that performance from Arsenal will go through. I'm telling you what, Arsenal might win the game. And I wouldn't be surprised. Arsenal might win at the Bernabeu, and I would have been surprised. Based on what I saw from Real Madrid versus Arsenal, I don't think that Real Madrid have a bigger chance of winning than Arsenal in this game. Because Real Madrid were destroyed, completely destroyed. Not only by the free kicks, tactically. Arsenal surprised me and surprised you as well. I thought the Arsenal would see deep. I thought the Arsenal fans, the most optimistic Arsenal fan told me that Arsenal will sit deep and hit the counter. Arteta went out there, attacked Real Madrid and pressed them from minute one and dominated them. Yet I am here to say I am meant to sit here and say the Arsenal will get smashed 4-0 because it's the Bernabeu, right? That's not rational in football. I don't analyze football like this, with all due respect. I actually think that Arsenal might win the game, like actually win the game, not the tie, win 1-0 or 2-1. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be way more surprised if Arsenal lose by 2+ goal margins, based on what we see.
That's fair. Look, I have zero rationale. There's nothing in this Real Madrid team that tells me that they're going to go and do it. It's just a gut feeling. When I look at it on paper, Arsenal defense is so strong. They will set up with such a low block and pragmatic and frustrate them. My head tells me Arsenal will go through and they'll maybe lose 1-0 on the tie and they'll go through. But for whatever reason, I just think if there is a team that's going to do it, if there's a stadium, it is going to be Real Madrid. But, looking at their game at the weekend, they weren't great. And the fact that the game before that against Valencia, where they lost, they rested a lot of their players. They rested Rodrigo. He was dealt with. But this is, if they do get through to the semi-final, I mean, with the injuries they've got and looking at that front line, Arteta's done wonders. To get past Real Madrid with Marino up front, he has done absolute wonders. Looking at the quality of the difference in teams, Jude Bellingham, Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, Valverde.
Haven't that been debunked already?
Yeah.
That is debunked already. That Arsenal midfield is set up better than the Real Madrid midfield.
Yeah.
So the only thing is the attack. And we have seen Timber lock, bro. This guy, Vinny Jr., Timber really rattled him and locked him up. Kivior played well. Saliba locked it. Yeah, Mbappe. And by the way, the people that say about Real Madrid missed chances. Yes, because Arsenal made a couple of mistakes in the beginning of the game. They passed it back. Saka passed it back and Kivior passed it back. It's not that Real Madrid tore Arsenal apart and went through them and passed tiki-taka and they created chances. The two chances that they created were literally a couple of bad passes from Arsenal that we don't see often. When the last time we saw Arsenal make a unforced error? That doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
So there's no rationale behind it.
No, listen, I hear where you're both coming from. And I think that with Arsenal, the interesting thing for me was watching this weekend. And as someone that does fan content, Sky Sports have played a part in this. And I think it's given Arteta's detractors a little bit of ammunition. They keep putting up the graphics for the title race, the title run-in. They keep asking, Liverpool look a bit off it. Could it open the door for Arsenal? They're just bullshitting us because they're trying to sell advertising space. They're trying to keep everybody engaged. Let's be blunt. If Man United lost 2-1 yesterday, nobody would have cared about the result. The 4-1 gave it a bit of gravitas for the scoreline. The only defeat really this weekend that holds the only dropping of points that holds any real damage for a team's season that could change the course of their season was Chelsea's. It's the only one. And madly, in the media, it's the one that's had the least amount of attention. Man United's defeat, Arsenal dropping more points, even like Liverpool not being at their best got far more people talking on the radio shows I was listening to last night. And I just found that a really interesting concept. And it's kind of weird that the one thing Sky have got is a genuine top four race. And they seem to not really be focused on it. They're focused on other things. But back to Arsenal, I felt that the reaction was weird. All I saw, especially from Arteta out at the end of last week, was rotate, rest at the weekend. Then when he did it, they moaned. Too much rotation. Then when he brought on the stars, why are you bringing them on? They might get injured. Then when they didn't win, this is the best one. There's a chance that Liverpool drop points and we just throw more points away. You man can see Most of you said you wouldn't win it anyway at the beginning of the season. You conceded the league in December, and you said it was totally finished 2 months ago when you drew with Forest. I don't know about you guys, the weird reaction this weekend, we spoke about it on Saturday, didn't we, Mo, to Arsenal dropping points. I found it to be staggering, considering the season's over. They're not winning the league anyway. There was just no way that was happening. I've just found it to be a bit of a weird...
Moaners.
Yeah.
People like to moan, bro. I lost the league, okay? We have a big game in the midweek. Oh, he should play full strength. Why? Why should he play full strength? Because we want momentum. But he knows that he lost the league already. And it doesn't matter. And you don't want the players to get injured. But we need to actually play good football. But he doesn't care. Nobody cared in that game. Nobody cared. Even rivals didn't care. By the way, even rivals didn't care, which is astonishing enough. Like, you look at this, rivals didn't care that Arsenal drew Brentford. Nobody cared.
No one.
With all the respect to the football terrace, Kerry, normally, when Arsenal drop points, have thousands of people coming into banter. They're doing the match reaction. It's like, nobody cares. No one cares. Arsenal drop points against Brentford. Yeah. They're going to lose to Real Madrid. Nobody cares about the league. Yet the people that want Arteta out, which is for their reasons, whatever, they're like, but we should have won against Brentford. Why should you have won against Brentford? It's like, what's that? What if you won against Brentford and someone got injured? Well, what if Saka played 90 minutes and then comes Wednesday, he cannot run for 90 minutes? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that for people that to say that Arsenal should have won against Brentford. Bro, who cares? No one cares, and no one cared about that game. Arteta did the right thing by resting people, getting some of the second team to play out. It doesn't matter. Just get over yourself. Arteta is going to win against Real Madrid. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. You lost the league for many reasons. It has nothing to do with the Brentford game. It has nothing to do with the Brentford, Drew.
It's that you can't concede the league is over and then moan about results that come after it in terms of winning the league. Because if you're saying we'd have beaten Everton and we'd have beaten Brentford, we could have still won the league. Well, the first thing you've got to do is admit you were wrong when you said the league title race was over. Equally, you're admitting that you're a liar when you said 4 months ago it was impossible for you to win the league. And that's my problem with it. It was just, as you say, whinging for the sake. Where I would agree is if and when Arsenal get past Madrid this week, if and when is the semi-finals? What's the date of the semi-finals?
April 29th.
April 29th, is it?
Yeah, 29th.
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then the following week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then the 6th of May.
Okay, so then therefore, I'm just looking at this now because then Arsenal would have the game this weekend against Ipswich, and then they would have on the 26th they would play. They play Crystal Palace on the 23rd on a Wednesday, as an example, and then they don't play again then. Well, they don't play again until they play the Champions League. So they've got 2 more league games that I'm looking at here between now and then. Even then, I would probably say you go full strength in the Ipswich game, but then when they get to that Wednesday game the following week, you'd probably rotate again. And all I'm trying to allude to and looking at the dates of their games is you can't go, if there's 2 or 3 matches in between the quarters and the semi-final, you can't go half-hearted with no intensity for 2 or 3 weeks because you will lose fitness and you will lose momentum. But you are not going to lose fitness and momentum for going 80% full pelt in between 2 massive Champions League games that are intense. You're just not going to lose too much. And I think we see this so much with football fans, don't we? You get this kind of like, they ignore the science. They ignore the process that most teams go through. And ironically for Standards FC, your god, Real Madrid, they regularly before Champions League games, rest and rotate their main starting 11 for their league matches and have done for as long as I can remember. Arsenal do it, and the same amoebas, the same dweebs, the same basement virgins. Oh, this is outrageous. No, you're just looking for attention on that. It can't. I couldn't believe that. But I'm now looking back at it. They were faking the outrage. They must have been. They could not have genuinely been angry. They have to be faking it. Have to be faking it for me. Have to be.
So looking at it like this, Arsenal would have the first leg at the Emirates again if they were to go through, and the second leg would obviously be
Which I think has been a travesty. Actually, I think I've loved the new format, but for me, I think they've got to do this for the teams that finished top 1, top 2, top 3, top 4. They should be away. They should be at home for their second legs in every knockout game. They could make an extra incentive for teams to win more and score more goals in the league stages to give them an added advantage in the knockout phases. I think they could quite easily implement that. I'm sure they could to ensure that there's even more incentive to score.
They can't do that. It's impossible.
Why?
Because it was supposed to be Liverpool going to the semi-final versus Arsenal. So if they do this, right, they have to change it based on the team that goes through to the next round, and the tickets go for sale for the semi-final and stuff once the draw is made. You get my point? Like, you have to look at Liverpool must be Liverpool are first, so they can't do it. But Arsenal are the most unlucky team in the draw, to be honest. Like, Inter are the luckiest team in the draw, and Arsenal are the unluckiest team in the draw, to be honest, finishing third and fourth, to be honest. But there is another reason why Arsenal should play well in the league. Because if Arsenal don't win the Champions League, even if they reach the final, that run will be remembered. But also, you cannot finish 20 points behind Liverpool, because I think that will take away from your momentum going to next season. I actually think that Arsenal should do well in the league. You should not fit 20 points behind Liverpool will already be, because the media will talk about, yes, you reach the semi-final or a final. Yes, you progress in the Champions League, but it will be forgotten about. Nobody will remember that run as much as the 20 points in the league gap.
The media will, but this, for years I've said that the points, again, so hopefully now people see why I've always said this, because we're getting a real life example. Your points total is a barometer. But it's never the ultimate barometer, because let's just say now Arsenal win of their 6 remaining games, they win 3 of them, lose 2 of them, and draw 1. But they're not intense in any of those games. And Liverpool just keep winning because they're playing relaxed. Yes, there'll be a massive points difference. And if you look at it in isolation, you would say, oh, wow, they were that much better than them. But then you're removing the context that we all know that potentially Arsenal were going to rest and rotate and keep themselves fresh for those games. That's why I've never focused solely on the points that a team get. And I'm not just talking the team that wins it. I'm talking all levels, because the following season, if they were in the title race, Arsenal, they wouldn't be resting. Equally, it's why I've always said trying to win the Premier League and the Champions League at the same time is always harder than going invincible, because you can't rest at any point. You can't rest, and you have to rotate. And you had a weaker team for this game. There's a weaker team for this match here. And yet, oh wow, I saw Man United do this. I've seen City do this. I've seen teams do this where it's like, hang on, we've got to play a massive Champions League semi-final game against Barca, and then we've got a huge game against Arsenal at the weekend. And suddenly you're starting John O'Shea in central midfield for one of them, and you think, "Fucking hell, how are we getting through this?" But you have to, because you can't play all those games. So I get your point. I don't think if Arsenal win the Champions League, like in your example, and they finish 20, they come second, but they're 15, 20 points behind Liverpool. I don't think that will have any impact on how Arsenal perform next season in the Premier League, personally. I get that some media outlets, so where you're right, Mo, is they'll write and they go, oh my God, they were 20 points better. But that's only for the nerds that think points totality is like this massive indicator of the difference in quality at all times. I don't think Arsenal personally would care. Again, if you're an Arsenal fan who's won the Champions League and all you care about is that you finish 15 points, 20 points off Liverpool, I'd say, again, I think you'd be faking that outrage, personally.
Could you not say the same for Spurs, though, if we win the Europa League and finish like 16th, though? It's not the same sort of thing.
Look, I think you're different. Forget your point. I think there is an element of if you win the Europa League, you're not as big as Arsenal. So that is huge success for you, same as Champions League is for them. But you still need to look at Ange and go, is he genuinely the guy that can make us more consistent and better in the league? Because you still need to fix that. So Amorim has said it this year, us winning the Europa League at Man United wouldn't fix this bad season. Being competitive year in, year out in your league is your bread and butter, and should always be like the standard bearer of the giant clubs. It shouldn't just be winning trophies. It's what you're doing in your league. So I think you've got to get the balance right.